Okay, so I will get us started. So welcome to the Northborough Southborough Regional School Committee open meeting of Wednesday, February 25th at 6:30 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order. It is currently 6:36 and we have quorum with 6 out of 10 members in attendance currently. And Greg, do I read this first? So pursuant to Chapter 2, the Acts of 2025, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. And members of the public who wish to access, although I'm saying this, if you're not accessing it, you're not on, but either through Zoom as a webinar, or you can also, hopefully at some point, the live stream on YouTube will be up. Okay, so at this time, I guess the first thing on the agenda is, and I apologize because I'm juggling back and forth between screens, is audience sharing. And so I think how we've done this before, just a few comments. Anyone who wishes to say something, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And I think just raise your hand and we can bring you, someone will bring you into as a panelist to give your to say what you want to say. I will give people warnings at the 3 minute period, and so if you can try and keep your comments to that, that would be great. Thank you. With 15 minutes total for a public comment. And it looks like we have some hands raised. We can bring Nia.
Hi, Jen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to share a couple quick thoughts. I have sent a couple emails off to the school committee and some administration over the past few years, but I wanted to take a moment to quickly bring up a few things about the school calendar. Nia Benoit, 7th Thayer Lane, President, Southborough Organization for Schools and licensed educator. Um, Religious inclusivity is a core tenet of the First Amendment, acknowledging that all religious groups and those with no religious affiliation are treated fairly and with respect. School calendars, in my opinion, should not promote or inhibit any particular religion. I ask you to please consider whether or not it's fair and equitable to choose which holidays are deserving of a full day off from school. I think with all the snow days, this is even more of a complication this year, but it reminded me that I should probably speak up at some point. As I shared in 22, 23, and 24, Orthodox Good Friday is one of our highest holy holidays. It's observed with fasting from food and water, along with many other things related to church, and church every day for a week until 2 in the morning on Saturday and until midnight on Friday. This year, the district scheduled MCAS on Orthodox Good Friday. When this was brought to the attention of the school principal, I received a phone call saying she wanted to touch base before February break. She explained that 5 schools in the district have MCAS, and my child would have to take MCAS on a makeup day if it's problematic for my family. Thankfully, I received an email later that night from Mr. Martineau saying the date would be changed. If our district's going to do its best to be fair and equitable, I feel it's extremely inequitable to provide school holidays for some families and not for others. Tonight, I ask you to please carefully consider how these decisions impact families with religious beliefs outside of those the district is identifying as important enough to observe. Our district has an established policy that's fair and equitable, where both students and staff can celebrate their holidays as they see fit. Through my SOS role, many families have reached out to me over the past few months about the school calendar. Many have found the calendar this year to be disruptive for learning, for scheduling purposes, and for childcare. I find the current calendar to be selective and exclusive rather than inclusive. And tonight, I ask the committee to reconsider all aspects of calendar development and to consider pairing a lean calendar with robust accommodation policies, emphasizing that all faiths are treated equally at the policy level. I feel strongly that public schools should prioritize federal holidays only to ensure educational continuity and not privileging specific faiths. A vote to not approve the proposed option 5 calendar would be a vote to consider the growing pluralism in our district. I know it's very complicated, and I thank you for your time, your consideration, and your dedication to our public schools.
Thank you, Nia. Next up, we have, I believe it's probably there's two names there, but Mitch, I assume that might be you. If we can bring Mitch into the room, please. And you have 3 minutes too.
Thank you very much. I apologize for the extra name below my video that was left over from a work meeting earlier today. I want to thank particularly Greg for his hard work on the school calendar issue. I know that's up for a hopeful vote tonight. Um, Calendar option 5 is clearly, as I think everybody here knows, is one that I favor. It's been worked on very, very hard by administration, the teachers associations, the Northborough School Committee. I attended those meetings where that was developed, and my understanding is the Southborough School Committee voted to approve that. So I hope you give that good consideration tonight. That is really the calendar that continues the practice that began last year. I think it's a great option. It's a great setup, and I hope it continues for future years rather than making this difficult for a lot of the people that observe the holidays that are recognized in calendar option 5. So I hope you give that due consideration. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else? I don't see any other hands, but does anyone raise your hand now if you'd like to speak? Okay. Okay, so thank you to community members for speaking. Next up on our agenda is action on the minutes. We have 3 minutes that are open for approval. And I would like to bundle these if possible. So in your packets, you'll find the minutes for open meeting of January 21st. So I will entertain a motion actually to approve the action on the open meeting minutes of January 21st, 2026. To approve the action, I'm going to go to number 3 next, the action on the operational budget subcommittee open meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2026, and approve and retain, I believe. Is that correct? The executive session meetings of meeting minutes of January 21st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Chris and seconded by Joan. And any discussion? Okay, so this will be a roll call. Joan,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
and I am also a yes, so those all pass. Next up, educational policy. There's none at this time. So new business, the Algonquin Athletic Boosters Club presentation. Do we have? Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you. So this evening we have Paul Cacciatore, who is the president of the Athletic Boosters Club at Algonquin. He has served in the role for a few years now. Paul was also instrumental in serving on the Athletic Complex Committee and saw that from beginning to end. So we appreciate his efforts. Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce Paul and then let Paul give a brief overview and presentation, and then answer any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you, everybody. Yes, I've had the luxury of working with Paul Cacciatore as a new Boosters president for the last 4 or 5 years. Instrumental, as Greg said, Mr. Martineau has said, in being sort of a pillar of the community, and working alongside with him in regards to supplementing Algonquin athletics, and providing the best experience possible for our athletes. Paul has done an amazing job. We communicate every single week for the most part, touching base on how we enhance what we are doing through athletics and also through the Booster Club. And I can tell you that athletics is only successful because of the work that's being done and the support that has been given through the athletic boosters. And Paul Cacciatore. So we are lucky. I am lucky to be working alongside with him, and so I would like to introduce Paul Cacciatore.
Thanks a lot, Mike, and thank you, Greg. Um, just a little background on myself quickly before I sort of dive into my presentation, which will be brief, but I certainly want to answer any questions from the school committee. And I recognize some faces on here, so nice to see you all again. If I haven't seen you in a long time, um, Greg had mentioned I actually took over Boosters in March of 2023. Um, and I really just kind of dove headfirst into seeing what this organization was about. My two boys have come up through the public school system playing hockey and baseball, respectively. I have a senior now and one that's a junior at University of New Hampshire. So I'm familiar. I've been a resident in Northborough since 2001. So I've been here for quite some time. I'm on two additional town committees, one being Parks and Rec Commission, and the other one is the Master Planning Implementation Committee. So I'm not just geared towards sports in this community. I care about it deeply. And I like to try to offer my expertise. I spent 2 years as president of Northborough Baseball, pretty much reorganizing and setting up budgets and all that kind of good stuff. On a professional occupation level, just kind of a hint in the background, I guess I'm giving you all, but um, this is my 30th season with the Boston Celtics. I'm vice president of guest experience and arena operations, and 30 years goes by quick. And I'm responsible for all operational and guest experience, both on the team and arena level. So I bring my credentials to boosters that I have professionally, um, and try to think of it and bring those types of situations into Mike's world, that try to help him on certain things. I have expertise in fan experience, budgeting, project management, reorganization, scheduling, all that kind of good stuff. I've worked on the three different renovations at the TD Garden that hopefully most of you have enjoyed, um, including the front door that's now there, the hub, and locker rooms, etc. So um, I thoroughly enjoy my day job, of course, but I also really enjoy being president of Boosters. For those of you that are new, perhaps to what does Boosters do or what are they? Um, again, it's a parent-led organization. Um, when I first got here, we had some coaches that were also booster reps. Um, and I quickly changed that to make sure that we really didn't have any conflict of interest, with coaches being, reps where, money could be distributed, and not spoken to Mike at all. And so my first year was really trying to get the right people in the right places, and evaluating exactly what the organization does. Um, and again, the main purpose of it is really to just promote all athletic programs, both boys and girls, and provide physical and monetary support to the athletic department. When I say physical, I think you all have seen in the fall, we take over a little pumpkin patch on the corner just down the street from Algonquin, and we raised money for both the teams and General Booster Fund. The teams get to sign up, the kids get to sign up, works the shifts, and then a portion of their hours counts as a fundraising, and that money goes into their team balances respectively. Each team has their balance, they're all positive. to date. All 28 have a positive balance. Primarily, the revenue comes from fundraising, concession working, um, clinics and camps as well. So if you're wondering where sort of the revenue part of it comes in, that's where the majority of the money comes in. Um, the the biggest thing that I think I want to kind of talk about a little bit is, you know, we're an independent 501c, which means technically, we operate independent of the athletic department. What does that really mean? Well, essentially, we don't really have any ties to the athletic department, and our decision and executive board makes decisions outside of Mike Masserino's responsibility as the athletic director. Um, why is that important? Well, I think it's important is because we come at each situation objectively by team, and a parent can really make that decision and bring it to the executive board, um, and us have free, easy dialogue that's not really agenda driven at all. And that's a big thing that I've tried to instill in the last 2 to 3 years as I take over is this is not a one-way street. This is about keeping the lines of communication open and making sure that we're enhancing the athlete experience, both boys and girls. We're not a small organization monetarily. Since July of 2023 till January of this year, our total revenues have been $596,000. Um, and our total expenses have been 550,000. So that was my big goal in year 1 to year 3, which is produce a balanced budget, make sure teams had team balances to carry year over year, so that they're starting ahead and not behind on fundraising efforts. And they've all done a wonderful job of doing that. I changed the structure of the meetings. Before we used to only have 2 or 3 a year, but I made them seasonal now. So that means that I meet with the fall reps. Our executive board meets with the fall reps before the fall season, our winter reps before the winter season starts, and now our spring will be shortly thereafter in a couple weeks. That way we kind of all are talking all the same language and we're not overlapping on fundraisers. I have our secretary, Chris Rogers, making sure that he's documenting every fundraiser that we're doing so that we're not stepping on each other's toes and pulling from different places. I'm going to stop there for a minute. Is there any questions before I sort of talk about what I see in the future, and then also some things that we're currently working on with the administration.
Joan, go ahead.
It's great to meet you, Paul. Thank you very much. And nice to see Mike Marcerino there, still probably at school. Chris, I have a question for you. Thank you for everything that you're doing, being a member in past years of being on the boosters.
Mhm.
I have a question for you. Is when you say that you have those seasonal meetings, is that for all parents or is that just for the representative, let's say from football, from cheerleaders, whatever those
Mhm.
sports are?
It's just for the player representatives. However, we do let the player, excuse me, the sport rep, let them know that all parents are welcome.
Mm-hmm.
If they would like to certainly hear, we talk about a variety of things. All the reps primarily leave with their balances so they know. And then they usually generally get back to us within a couple weeks of what their business plan is, Joan,
Mm-hmm.
for the actual season. So we know what's kind of coming in from a revenue perspective, but we also understand what the expenses are going to be. That's very important when Mike and I are talking. I just want to make sure that it resonates with people because Mike and I think, have done a really good job of keeping the lines of communication open because he's had discussions with coaches about budgets. I have not, which means that we don't want to be redundant on anything that we purchase, right?
Hmm.
So um, we really have focused, Mike and I, on like really saying like, is this absolutely necessary? Do you have this in your budget? What has the discussion been with the coach? Um, and then we make a decision collectively. So I will say that that to me was a glaring need out front. Generally, I see anything that is over $500 from an expense going out the door, just so we have some checks and balances. We did not have that before. I notify Mike if I see something and flag something, um, and he will get back to me usually within a day or two to say, no, that's already budgeted for, or no, that this is why we're doing it this way.
Okay, and I
Is
like
that
the way that you have the lines of communication, and you also talked about the checks and balances. My next question might be preemptive. You talked about the total money you have and the expenses, which is $550,000.
Mhm.
Can you, if you're going to be talking about that in the next part of your presentation, I'd just like to know if you could give us what are some of the things that you pay for? Do you pay for buses going to different tournaments, like the cheerleaders go to tournaments? Do you pay for those extra things? Any type of uniforms? And I'd like to just say thank you for everything that you're doing because that really helps us immensely in our budget season. So thank you, Paul.
So, to answer your question without going into about a 2 hour presentation, I will give you the general stuff that teams do spend on. They spend on clothing and apparel, which is generally warm-ups or anything external from anything that's above and beyond what the athletic department provides. That's generally a large expense. The other expenses are banquets, senior gifts, and awards, and raffle expenses so that they can make money to fund. Um, there are a few things that Mike and I have been cleaning up over the years. It does a little preempt something that I'm going to mention that Becky and I are working on, but um, we do have a few things that uniforms fall into, that we do pay for. But we're starting to really dive, at least I feel comfortable in year 3 of being fully transparent with Becky and Sunny and the finance team of making sure that there's no redundancy there. I presented all the data to them for the last 3 fiscal years recently so that they can comb through it. And the reason for that is I want to make sure things are coded correctly. We're a 501c. We want to make sure that things are certainly being budgeted correctly for the athletic department with the true cost of the athletic department and us being the wing of the enhancements, right? And that's really what we should be focused on is things like that. Food for away games, as an example. Working with Corinne, our new trainer, as an example of nutritional things that our athletes should be getting before they hit the road on a bus, as an example. All of those types of things, you could argue they could be in the athletic department, but teams are different and their cycles are different. And so it really comes down to team by team. And I will answer you this way, Joan, is what Becky and I have been focusing on doing, and Sunny, is really understanding um, what each line item really means, and by sport, because everything that the boosters does is by sport. So I have a spreadsheet that's basically left to right that is by sport, boys and girls. And everybody has their own account. So I have a ledger that goes all the way down. The boosters department, my executive board has 2 accountants. We have one, Amy Staunton, who you guys may or may not know. She's a CPA by trade. She handles our overall budgeting, finance, tax filings as a 501c. And then we have a gentleman from Southborough, Ron Aru, that handles our accounts payable. So that's reimbursements. And we find that that's a really good way for me to kind of keep a pulse of what's coming in and what's going out. And we'll be soon, Amy and I will be soon meeting in April with Becky to go through some more things on a fine-tooth comb. Hopefully that was a long-winded answer, but I hope I answered that question for you, Joan. You're on mute. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. And I like to see how this boosters has grown through the years, and the accountability, the transparency, which is so important, and the connection and the communication that you have with Becky and Mike Marcerino and your tax accountants in doing a 501c. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. More to come. I hope to be back here in a couple months, giving you updates of what Becky and I have really tried to work together on, and making sure that that you all are educated enough to know what the athletic department funding really is. And at the end of the day, there's really one thing I want to leave you with, and I'll certainly answer questions. But there's one word that I keep coming back to, and that's synergy. And I think to give the best experience to our student athletes, we all have to have synergy to make it a great experience for Algonquin athletics, both boys and girls.
Thank you very much. Are
I'm
there
happy to
any?
answer any questions that anyone else has. Oh, I like your cat too.
Sorry, I've been away from home for a week. I just got back, so she's very needy today.
One thing I would add, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Paul Desmond, who was also on the complex committee. I learned a great deal from him just being at those meetings. And I think we have a really unique opportunity to really take our athletic complex to the next level. I'd be hard pressed to see another facility in this area from a public school standpoint that is as nice as ours. And I really truly believe that we're just scratching the surface on making sure that it truly is the best facility for our student athletes. I know our athletes love it. One thing I do want to mention just real quickly is 2 years ago, Sean and Mike got together and sent out a survey to the parents regarding coaching and feedback based on the athletic department. Generally, I get the calls about parents and things that are really outside my scope because I certainly don't hire coaches or administrators. But I would love to see that as a normal business practice every couple of years, just to do a check-in with parents and how they're feeling about the programs. Um, and generally, most of us have 2 or 3 kids that have gone through it. Some of my executive board members are on their fourth child. And I think it's really important that, as things change, and the atmosphere changes and sports change, look at rugby. The growth of rugby is a perfect example. I think we need to just be aware, both as a school committee and as a community, that sports could be changing, and things could be different, right? Every couple of years. So I just would ask the committee to keep that in the back of their mind as we go through budgets and make sure that that we're paying attention to where things are from my sporting event side of things. And good luck to all the teams that have made the tournaments too. We're all rooting for them. Looks like a question from Paul.
Not a question. Thanks for the kind words, Paul. And I was going to thank you for all that you did with the athletic complex and everything you've done with boosters since. I think you've really brought a degree of professionalism to it that is has just been great. And I mean, the results speak for themselves with all the money you folks have raised. And as Joan said, we really appreciate that because anything that helps us out with budgeting is certainly welcome. So I thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, and maybe I can pile in, and I know I'm kind of repeating other things we've said, but we're very lucky for Paul's leadership. I've had the great pleasure of working with Paul on the massive project out on the for the athletic complex, and his degree of professionalism has been an incredible asset to our organization. And it's a thankless job to be the Boosters president, and I'm here to thank you. And I know you're getting that a lot tonight, so I appreciate that. And I look forward to another great second half of this year and going into next year.
Thanks, Sean.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, just one last comment. Paul, I just wanted to let you know that probably about 3 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there was a group of senior gentlemen from Northborough, and they had some questions about the athletic complex. And bringing that request to Greg and to Sean, they and Mike Marcerino, they gave a tour to these probably about 10 gentlemen, and they answered all their questions. And I'm going to say they were thrilled seeing everything, getting the tour of the field, seeing the shot put, coming into the building, and even seeing the Eagle Scout project that was there right before you come into the principal's office, I believe. And one of the gentlemen, when there was a yearbook that was opened, and lo and behold, he used to be one of the sports players, and his picture was opened on that yearbook. It was like it was planned, and it wasn't. So I just want to let you know those men had nothing but high compliments, and they were so pleased to see it. And Sean and Mike and Greg just answered all their questions. So kudos to you, and I kudos to Paul Desmond, because I know he's been on this even when it was the beginning stages and talking about it, and he's followed it through that long in his tenure on the regional school committee. So to both Pauls, congratulations, and thank you to Sean and Greg and Mike for giving those gentlemen years ago the ability to come through and see the facility. And it went out. Every gentleman talked about it when they went back to the senior center in Northborough. So it got compounded. But thank you very much.
Go ahead, Greg.
So, Joan, just so you know, we do get guest lists, and Mike Masserino and Sean Bevan do flip the pages to the appropriate yearbook page, so people see their photos.
But I just practice. Not a big deal.
I just want to give a general thank you to all of the parent volunteers that give their time and effort. Paul's an excellent example. He's not getting paid to do this work. He brings his experience as a parent, his experience as an employee of the Celtics, and we have hundreds of parents who do that for us, and I think it helps us become better as an organization. So, Paul, thank you. And if you could pass on our appreciation to all of the volunteers at Boosters, please do so. And just also want to acknowledge Keith and Mike Masserino. I think they've been working hand in hand with Paul and really thinking about systems and structures and to really improve our experience for our athletes. So thank you to Keith and Mike for doing that.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to continue on in the agenda. So next up, we have our legislative update. Greg, I will pass that to you.
All right. And Paul, you are more than happy to stay to listen to the exciting legislative update. But if you don't want to, you can head into your busy evening. So I think we just are monitoring the legislative front. So Becky's keeping an eye on the state budget. I think that the last time we spoke, the governor had released her budget. Not much has changed from that, other than some advocacy. One of the areas of advocacy, I think there was an article in the Boston Globe yesterday centered around special education transportation and how basically the system is not working for school districts. So that is a timely article for us because we have been saying that for years. But it just speaks to we're not the only district having challenges trying to fund and predict funding for special education services such as transportation. Becky, I'm not sure if there's anything else you've been monitoring on the legislative front.
No, nothing has come in since our last meeting. We are anticipating the House numbers coming out shortly, though. And so that would be another key indicator for us as to what they're thinking about at the legislative level for Chapter 70.
And happy to answer any questions. Joan?
Thank you. I don't have any questions, but I was going to save this for the time when we do school committee reports, but I thought maybe it would be appropriate now, is that maybe we all received it through the mail that the Day on the Hill is going to be March 30th. And I know, Greg, you have attended that with some school committee members, but some of the things they're going to be talking about is going to be inflation fix for school budgets, financial literacy legislation, federal impacts on the state budget, and budget priorities and key education ask. So it also said here that students may attend free of charge, but they must be registered in advance. So I don't know if that was any interest to our student reps that are here tonight. But one thing is, it's going to be check-in is at 9:30. The program goes from 10:15 to 12:15 with lunch. The only thing is that on this brochure that let me see, what came through the mail, I don't think you can see it. They did not have a date that you had to sign up for. So I didn't know if anyone at the office could see if there was a date that you had to sign up for attending that. So I just
Sure.
want to bring that to everybody's attention.
So I'll have Cheryl send out an email asking people if they would like to attend, and then she'll register folks who would like to attend.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Next up is our multilingual learner presentation.
Yes, so this evening we have Selvi joining us for the annual multilingual update to the school committee. And just before I turn it over to Selvi, I just want to thank Selvi. This is for her work. She's been in the role for about a year and a half now. And I think she has done an amazing job continuing the great work that Rhoda Webb had started and continuing on. And it's been a very smooth transition. And she continues to be student-centered, family-centered, and help us move the program forward. So I will turn it over to Selvi for her presentation.
Thank you, Greg. I'm certainly in wonderful company, and I have great mentors who support me through this. Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm not sure if the presentation is going to be up on the screen, or should I just read on?
You're muted, Greg.
Stephanie, do you have it in the packet, or Keith, or Becky, so you can share your screen?
I will pull it up. 1 second. I have the revised agenda up, which doesn't have it, but I'll get it.
I can email it.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, if you email it to me, Selvi, that's the best way.
Or you can co-present, Selvi, so you can share your screen.
Okay, I'll do that. How quickly we forget how to be on Zoom. I apologize.
It's a good thing, in my opinion.
I am sharing, but I'm not sure what's really appearing on the screen for you.
if you start presenting in presentation mode, we can see the screen. Is it just, Selby, is it just a PDF?
It's just a PDF.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can just you can scroll through the slides as you speak to them.
Yes, I can definitely do that. Is it visible right now? Because I can't see it, and I'm not
It
sure
is.
if you.
It's a little bit cut off on the side.
And it looks like it's starting on 13.
Oh, I scrolled up, but I'm not sure if that is working. I may just email Stephanie for.
Yeah, that's fine. Email me and I can put it up.
I apologize for the delay.
And do you want to stop sharing your screen, Selby?
Yes.
Selby, I actually have it. I pulled up the other agenda.
Oh, okay.
So let me just share my screen.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I'll get started. So tonight I will be sharing how our multilingual education department continues to ensure access, belonging, and academic success while fully meeting Massachusetts DESE requirements. On our agenda tonight, I will review the definitions and profiles of our multilingual learners, highlight new guidance and tools that was just rolled out by DESE. We'll work through some procedures and how we serve our students and families, talk about accountability, and present our next steps and highlight some upcoming events for the rest of the year. Next slide, please. So to ground our presentation, we will just start with a reminder about the DESE terminology that is interchangeably used. We follow DESE's dual nomenclature. English learner, EL, is our legal and compliance term for reporting and data. However, we really embrace multilingual learner, ML, as an asset-based term. This term acknowledges that our students are not just learning English, but are developing complex, high-level skills in multiple languages, which is a significant cognitive and economic advantage. In short, we use both terms intentionally, ML for identity and belonging, and EL for accountability. So who are our multilingual learners? RMLs include newcomers experiencing U.S. schools for the first time as year one and or year two English learners. We also have duly identified learners who are both multilingual learners with an IEP. We have long-term Ls who are in or beyond their year 5 in the ESL program, students with limited and or interrupted schooling who tend to be 2 or more grade levels behind, and former English learners who met the DESE criteria on access testing to be reclassified and to be monitored for 4 consecutive years. Each profile requires targeted responsive instruction and supports which are a shared responsibility for all educators in our district. Also in this photo, I would like to point out that you are seeing the first snow experience by our newcomers, although I can imagine that they're still as excited about it as their first experience in the beginning of the winter. So I just wanted to point that out. In the next few slides, we will be looking at our population trends. You can see that looking at the data, our multilingual learner population of Ls and FELs continue to hold steady in our district. We have a total of 57 students, 25 Ls and 32 former English learners as of now. We have also processed 30 students this year, and 15 of our Ls are new to our district. So that's significant. And if you look at the proficiency levels, again, as a reminder, entering is a newcomer student who's experiencing U.S. schools for the first time and is coming with no or very limited English, all the way through bridging, which is a comparable level of proficiency to a native speaker. Currently, 30% of our students are in the foundational, entering and emerging levels, and about half of our students are in the developing, in the middle of their language development. Per DESI requirements, this breakdown determines instructional intensity and the supports each student is to receive. This is one of my favorite slides always. I love seeing all the diversity in languages and cultures our district holds. We're looking at about 13 languages that are spoken within our ELs and FELs, so our multilingual learners. I like to point out that this data does not include other students who may have a different home language who are not ELs or FELs. So in reality, we do have more languages than depicted here. Portuguese is our prominent language, followed by Spanish and Arabic. In the district, we have about 62 families that require interpretation and translation. And our high quality interpreters and translators ensure that every family can be a full partner in their child's education. So I mentioned earlier in my presentation that DESI had rolled out a few initiatives, and actually each one of them has a big impact in the work that we do and how we serve our students and families. The first one is the language survey. As you may recall, a language survey is part of the registration process for each new enrollment. The previous home language survey is now replaced by the new language survey. The language survey is for any student who's registering for the first time in our schools, pre-K through 12. So this updated survey is better organized with 3 designated sections: language use, language access needs, and prior education, as well as a rubric for the ESL team to apply in order to aid in the identification process of a potential EL student. DESI has introduced this rubric to bring a greater consistency across districts and to eliminate or minimize misidentification. I would like to send a heartfelt thank you to Kathy Carmignani, John Parent, Judy Davies, and Julie Marshall for their collaborative and hard work in making the relevant changes in Power School, our enrollment platform, for this language survey to be ready and up for the 26-27 registration season. We have also trained all of our ELD team in the new rubric for identification, as well as all the admin and staff who handles the registration process. The second largest change has been VIDA access testing. As you may recall, access testing is the proficiency testing that is required by the state, and it's held every year in January and February. VIDA removed the name, it made a name change, then removed the part access for ELLs, for ELLs part from the name, and now it's called VIDA access. The kindergarten access was fully redesigned. It incorporated and aligned to VIDA ELD standards and frameworks, which were further, I guess, used in the tool that is going to be the language charts that I will talk about in the next change. And grades 1 through 12, access was revised behind the scenes. This year's access testing window closes this Friday, February 27th, and we are curious to see how our outcomes are next year with all these changes. The third one is VIDA's new language charts. These are really tools that are aligned to our 2020 frameworks and it is intended to serve as a collaborative tool and a resource for all educators, even those without specialized language backgrounds. This tool is intended to inform instructional planning for selecting the best SEI strategies and for setting language and academic goals for students. They expand from K through 12 continuum and cover all the five proficiency levels we've seen before in all 4 domains of the language. So speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And finally, DESE also revised their guidance and ELE criteria to line up their procedures and their priorities to all the changes that has been rolled out this year. The revised guidance underscores the shared responsibility by elevating incorporation of SEI strategies such as scaffolding and differentiation by content area teachers, while emphasizing that systematic, explicit, and sustained ESL instructional time may not be replaced by academic tutoring or other methods. It highlights that ESL and SEI are complementary and not interchangeable. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, our work begins with the language survey. So based on the outcome of the language survey, some students are screened for language proficiency if needed. Our ELD teachers also do a records review for incoming students to make better informed decisions. They also offer a math screening at the high school that is reviewed by the math department for placement purposes. If a student is qualified as an English learner, they're properly coded in our databases, and our teachers then collaborate with guidance to help build their schedules and hold family conversations and send placement letters. So that is the first initial process in the journey of a multilingual learner that walks into our buildings. So our instruction, our district CSL model is the Sheltered English Immersion SEI. This means that an ESL licensed teacher provides systematic and explicit direct language instruction aligned to VIDA standards, while SEI endorsed content teachers use specialized SEI strategies to make grade level math, science, and social studies accessible by teaching rigorous content and having high expectations for using academic language for all students. Again, this model aligns with DESE's shared responsibility for English language development. And this shared responsibility is facilitated by close and intentional and data-informed collaboration among ELD educators, content teachers, specialists, and staff, admin, and again, our families. Through the use of high-quality instructional materials and having access and engagement via SEI practices, our multilingual learners experience academic instruction that is explicit, scaffolded, differentiated, and data-based, where language barriers are minimized and their linguistics assets are leveraged as a bridge to content learning. And in this picture, we see a co-taught biology classroom, SEI endorsed and co-taught. And then on the other side, we see a graphical organizers that is co-created and then published as a reference from one of our ELD units at the high school. So for our accountability includes our report cards, access scores, and our MCAS scores. Some of our students are placed on student success plans if they do not meet the targets that are assigned to them by DESE. and we do put those students on plans and monitor them on a regular basis across the school year. As I mentioned, access testing is our largest accountability for language development, and I'm pleased to report that 100% participation rate on the 2020 access test was attained. Most importantly, about 62% of our students were marked as making significant progress. This indicates our instructional strategies are hitting the mark. And this data again informs instruction and reclassification. Our next steps for our multilingual learners then becomes they receive an access report and they get informed of their scores, and so do their families. If the student is meeting the DESI criteria of 4.2 overall and 3.9 literacy, then they get exited and get reclassified as former English learners, and their 4-year monitoring begins at that time. I just wanted to add and highlight that our department also collaborates closely with the World Language Department, and a lot of our multilingual learners have the opportunity to immerse in language classes and heritage classes, as well as the opportunity to pursue their seal of biliteracy, further validating the importance and assets of multilingualism. And finally, I like to highlight some of the events and upcoming opportunities for you to participate. Our ALPAC, English Learner Parent Advisory Council, has been actively learning and partnering with our educators this year. We had Northborough's Recreation, Kathy Lizat, District Math Coordinator, the World Languages Department as our guest presenters. We are expecting Mr. Martineau to join us on our March 19th meeting to engage in conversations with our families about our district's strategic goals. As I mentioned, our department has been engaged in deep and meaningful professional development, where we are really doing deep dives into learning the new tools and guidance that is rolled out by DESI, as well as looking at all the SEI strategies and making them accessible and practical for all the content area teachers to easily incorporate into their lessons. Our summer program is in the works, and we will be utilizing our Title III grants again this year to bring engaging, language-rich, and fun summer programs to our students. In addition, our interpreters and translators ensure families participate fully in their students' education. I would like to take a moment to thank Rosa Populus, our new administrative assistant, and our team of professional interpreters and translators for making language access possible for our families. Last but not least, we're also beginning to plan for our International Night, which is a night of celebration and sharing a meal and fun activities. This year, we're partnering with the Community Coalition to make this event happen. But before I close out tonight, I would like to share that I was visiting our ELD classrooms this morning and learned that our ELD students are planning to submit to Algonquin A's art panel, which aims to collect designs with the A logo depicting the positive attributes and assets of a particular aspect of the Algonquin community. Without giving away too much, I'm excited to be seeing this panel in the installation, representing how ESL and multilingualism builds bridges in our community. And thank you for your continued support and all the hard work you do. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I have a question. Thank you. First of all, thank you for that presentation. It's always nice to to see what great work what we're doing, and just the diversity of our families in the district. And this might be a question for any of the administrators to answer, but I'm just wondering, given in the last year, like shifts potentially in federal policies, whether it's rescinded guidance or potential threats to funding, I'm wondering if there are any concerns for what kinds of impacts those might have on a local level for our district, and how I don't know if I know some changes potentially coming in through grants might be something that's impacted, but how we hope to, if there are any concerns, how we can help, and then what plans we have in place potentially related to those kinds of things. And that can be for any of the administrators.
Greg, would you like me to take this?
You can talk about our Title III grant.
Yes. So far, our Title III, we do have our Title III this year. And the state of Massachusetts is working hard to be able to make it available next year as well. But I guess we just have to wait and see how it rolls out. We do work closely with Becky. We do recommendations for budget planning, but we are hopeful and
And Selby, do you want to talk about what Title III funds?
Yes, Title III funds our summer programming and our SEI's efforts in professional development in our district, in addition to funding some of the LPAC events. So it has 3 prongs: family, content, and programming.
And Greg, I can just add that we did receive word, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, that the most recent continuing resolution that was passed at the federal level did level fund all of the title grants, including Title III. So we are anticipating that the funds that the state will receive will remain the same for FY27.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Joan?
I guess I'm on a roll tonight. Selby, thank you very much for the presentation. You know how excited I get about this. I had 2 questions. Number one, I did attend, the October 16th LPAC meeting. And then a follow-up was that Allie Lane was coming from the Recreation Department and was going to provide the parents with information on some sports that the kids could be involved with at the community level and any scholarships. Do you know if any of those initiatives were taken by the parents?
So in the follow-up meeting we had in January, I did ask if they have explored the resources and many activities offered, and Allie had presented. First of all, Joan, I'd like to thank you for connecting Allie with us. She was an amazing presenter and a resource beyond just recreation. She truly is a part of the fabric of our community here in Northborough, and she has ensured that these resources were available to Northborough and Southborough families. She has given a wealth of information, resources, in addition to some of the scholarships that may be available. I do not know if a particular family has used any of the services. All I know is that they were very impressed and they were excited to explore more.
Okay. And then my other question was, thank you very much for allowing Allie to come. And I was glad to hear what in your response just now that it was available to Northborough and Southborough parents. So that's wonderful. I love that collaboration. Could you just talk a little bit about the SIL of biliteracy? I mean, I know what it is, but I think for the parents that might be watching or the community members, about how that SIL of biliteracy can be so important to be put on the graduation diploma that students get, and how that could help them in their higher education as they go forward into college.
Mm-hmm. Sure. The SEAL basically confirms that the student is bilingual both in English and a different language. and it is a seal they do get on their diploma. A lot of the state schools have begun to give them college credits for world languages. And I'm sure that Emily can speak more to that effect, but it definitely is an asset when it comes to applying to colleges and as well as when they're looking for employment. But I did hear that some of the state colleges give as many as 12 college credits for the seal of biliteracy.
Yeah, that's accurate, Selvi. Many of the state colleges and the public universities in Massachusetts give credit, and if students have the seal of distinction on their seal of biliteracy, they get even more credits. In addition to being just something that they can have on their resumes and is obviously an asset in terms of future career opportunities. The other thing I'll just add so that people understand is the seal of biliteracy is based on an assessment that students take that is either we use the Apple assessment, which is another company, and it does an assessment of proficiency in speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And students can take it in any language. So, although our students who take Spanish at school might be taking the seal of biliteracy based on their Spanish instruction at school, we may have a student who speaks Chinese at home and is literate in Chinese, and through the school takes the seal of biliteracy in Chinese, in Mandarin, for example, and can earn the seal of biliteracy, even though that's not a language that we teach. So that's one of the things we try to make sure that our families understand.
Thanks for that clarification from Stephanie and Selvi. And Selvi, I think that, I can't believe that when your introduction was given by Greg, it's only a year and a half that you have been here. Usually some people come in and they do it at a running speed, but I think you have come in going at warp speed. So thank you very much for everything that you are doing and making such a smooth and wonderful transition from Rhoda Web. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you. It's a pleasure every day.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Next up on our agenda is the approval of the grant donations. And enclosed in our packet, you'll find the letter from the state to the district. Greg, if you want to say a little bit about that.
Sure. I'm going to have Stephanie speak to it.
Okay.
Sure. So this is a grant that I worked together with our Student Support Services Department to apply for this grant. The state DESE has adopted new regulations as of June 2025 related to the use of timeout spaces. And this is a grant to support the district in aligning our practices with the new regulations and to build the capacity of our educators and our teams to respond to the behavioral needs of our students with Tier 2 and Tier 3 behavioral interventions when needed. It is also can be used to support professional development related to restorative practices, to just build inclusive foundational communities in our schools. And really the goals are not only to be in alignment with the regulations, but also to have the most inclusive environments possible for our students to be learning side by side with their peers the maximum amount possible, reducing the amount of time that students are secluded or in sort of timeout types settings.
Great, thank you. Congratulations. Are there any other questions or comments? No. So I will entertain a motion to approve the support implementing of updated regulations regarding timeout practices grant in the amount of $50,000.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, I heard Paul first, I think. And this will be a roll call vote. So Joan?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And Kathleen?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that passes unanimously. Next up is the superintendent's report to the committee.
I will turn it over to Madison Wilson for her student report.
Greg, if you can share me the permissions to display my screen, I will advance Madison's slides and then I'll take over after she's done. Oh, there we go. Madison has control there.
He's now the co-pilot.
There's only one student in the school I think this would be a great idea for, and it's Madison Wilson.
There's your chance.
So Madison, are you there?
Yes, let me pull it up. I didn't realize I'd get permission.
No, there you go.
Just give me 1 second.
Sean, you should have co-hosts now too.
Okay.
So it's easier for you.
Look. Okay.
Okay, I should have it here. Let's see.
All right, Madison, if you can take over, can you display? Are you doing it now?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, great. It's a little fuzzy, but maybe you can proceed and see if it clarifies, Madison.
Yes, I think my computer is just loading. I think it's what it is.
Now it's better.
Now it's better, yeah.
Okay. So good evening. Let's see if I can advance the slides. Okay. So for the Student Advisory Committee update, we are finished with our survey, and that is currently being reviewed by our advisors, Ms. Braun and Ms. Turner, and then it will be reviewed by Mr. Bevan, and then hopefully sent out so that by our March meeting, we can have actual data that everyone can see. Some of the questions involve students' mental health and well-being, so we're excited to share physical data that we've collected from students. And then also, we've been working with Mr. McGowan as well as the cafeteria staff on the topic of vegetarian and vegan options, and we're excited to see that there are improvements in alternate options for those students who would like options that don't include meat. And then there's a lot happening around Algonquin, but just to highlight a few, we recently had the Ennisboro Reads event, which was held in the library for the town's elementary school students to be able to come up and not only see the high school, but also work with high school volunteers to encourage the love of reading. So there were multiple rooms, including button making, book bingo. I know we had a couple authors come to read to the kids, so that was a really fun time. And then we had the Ennisboro Music Jamboree concert. This was a great opportunity for the current 8th graders and the rising freshmen to see the music department at Algonquin and get to play alongside our ensembles as well as our directors, so that hopefully that, along with the new curriculum and graduation requirement next year, allows those ensembles to get a lot more members. And then tomorrow night is the Story Bridge presentations. Those students have been working very hard to tell their personal stories to the community. I know it's especially hard to talk without a script in front of a group of people, so they've been doing a lot of great work, and they'll be presenting those stories tomorrow. Algonquin's Got Talent has been a tradition at Algonquin in the past few years, and with the graduating class of 2025, obviously graduated, it's been taken over by our freshman class, so that's very exciting to see that addition. There's been a spirit clothing drive for old spirit wear. The seniors are enjoying 100 days until their graduation tomorrow. So we've heard word that the APTO will be hosting events during lunches. So we're excited to see what that has to entail. And then Triumph's annual Singing Valentines are always held either on Valentine's Day, or this year it was the day before since it fell on Saturday. And it was exciting for student performers to get to go into classrooms and sing and perform for students who bought Singing Valentines. And then for this month's club spotlight, we have Spreading Hope Across Continents. This is a club that raises money for an organization called Operation One. They're a nonprofit that helps raise money and funds for children and families in Uganda. So members of this club host activities and fundraisers such as car washes and bake sales. They also speak at events in the community to raise awareness. And then at the end of the year, they make goodie bags and send over that money to help those families. So that's it for my presentation.
Thank you, Madison. I think if I'm understanding correctly, I'm sorry, the Storybridge event was postponed. I think that emerged since you and I spoke. So I think Storybridge is postponed potentially even until next year. So I'll keep the committee updated on that, but thank you, Madison. Well done. I'm going to look to share my, I'm getting a bit of a funky window. So let me try that. Sorry, I have it. It's not done this to me before. I'm having a hard time presenting here, Greg. Give me one moment.
Do you have dual screen, Sean?
When I hit, it says application windows, presenter layout. It says entire screen, and I'm trying to do that. Let me try this one here. Share screen, and then it's asking for settings. So I apologize.
I can do the same way I did for Selby if you want.
Okay, if you can do that. I really only have 4 slides, and one is the intro slide and one is the question slide. So that, or there's only 2 or 3 truly substantive slides. So I apologize. I don't know why it's doing that. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So good evening, everyone. The items I wanted to present and share with you tonight, and you can scan over or scroll down, Stephanie, if you would, please. One, I'm really excited to share that in coming into this year, I set the goal with Mary Ellen Duggan and some of the leadership in Encompass to, I wouldn't say overhaul, but I'd say deeply impact and enhance our substance abuse programming and our other health programming through the agencies here in Northborough and Southborough. So we had historically been doing all of our student programming around substance use and other health-related topics through our health classes, which is natural and understandable. We would add in a supplement to that around the prom or graduation time of the year with like a pretty traditional standalone drug and alcohol event. And we are aware that that's not a model that has delivers really research proven results, that campaigns over time, campaigns that revolve around or involve data and research are a little bit more impactful. And so I worked beginning last summer with Encompass, Emily Tylek and Isabella Crusoe, specifically to reinvent and think more about how we can work at the school with our community partners to bring them into the school and to work in a front-facing, student-facing manner with our students on really impactful work. That's not to diminish those kind of assembly programs we've done in the past, but we just know we could do better. So I'm just sharing with you that we're very excited that some of those initiatives are starting to shape up. Some of them already happened, and what it will look like going forward. So there in the bottom half of that slide, you can see in grade 11, at the end of semester 1 and the beginning of semester 2, We had individuals come in and do opioid awareness training, including Narcan training, and that's exactly the kind of model we're starting to adopt, which is to, instead of having only our health teachers teach that important information, we are having our public health professionals help us to deliver that message, to show that message through, to show them how to use, for example, Narcan devices. So that's an example. And if you see below that, we have planning for grade 9, grade 10, and grade 12 as well. And you can see it would go, it'd be a 4-grade kind of sequence of, be like a steady drumbeat over the course of the year, where Encompass and ARHS are working hand in glove to deliver substance abuse prevention skills and abilities that enhances and supplements what is taught in the health classes. So I'll work from the bottom of the slide up. Grade 9, we're looking at incorporating a presence by Encompass at our freshman orientation to make it both welcoming and joyful and exciting, and a tour of the building, but also to share with students some skills, some refusal skills they need to have going into the high school. As well, we plan on doing a parent presentation where we can talk through parents what they can expect and how they can support their child. In grade 10, we anticipate, or we plan on having Encompass staff push into health classes when units around substances are being introduced, and to rely heavily on the Metro West Adolescent Health Survey data. They would do that semester 1 for the cohort of grade 10 students who are in semester 1, and then they would come back and do the same in semester 2 for the grade 10. My conversation with Emily and with Isabella and with Mary Ellen and others is that this is designed not to be like, let's try it out next year, I'm sure it'll go well. It's really to think of this as a multi-year partnership that will just continue over time. So this is not just sometimes we, if we're not really being strategic, we can bring somebody in as a guest speaker, and if it's not the kind of message that is repeated and delivered in a repeatable way by other individuals, it's just not as impactful. And then in grade 12, this is something we're going to do this year, which is to do a Adulting 101 presentation delivered by Emily and Isabella and others to seniors during senior week about what, it would really be a candid conversation with students about what they can expect as they leave the comforts of their homes and of going out into the real world, and how they can seek support and protect themselves from harm. So I'm really excited about this partnership. It's one that's previously existed, but it's not had the kind of structure that we are starting to employ currently. And I give a great deal of credit to Emily and Isabella for bringing forward these ideas. And I was just like rubber stamping these really wonderful ideas. I was just giving them a little bit of space and a little bit of time and some of my thoughts, but they're the ones who have already started to deliver on this partnership. So I appreciate their hard work, and Mary Ellen Duggan as well, who's of course outstanding. Yeah, moving on. So the next 2 slides provide an overview of where we stand as it relates to our analysis of the program of studies, and then the consequence and what happens after we change the graduation requirements. So just to give you an idea of the structure I developed and have implemented with my team to make sure that that was really done in a thorough and responsible manner. In the end of the summer, I created what we call the Post-Secondary Success Working Group. I may have referenced this in this group in the past, but I'm not sure. That group includes all the members you see on there. So several department heads, the whole admin team. Michelle Kalin is our career development coordinator. Maggie Ibrahim is the director of belonging and community engagement. Kathy Carmignani's title is there. And so is Kate Clark. So this was just like a superstar team who helped us examine our program of studies and came to conclude pretty quickly that we can make adjustments to the graduation requirements that can both enhance the rigor and improve students' enjoyment of our program. So the objectives are listed there. I won't read them to you, but those were the goals we set at the start of this group. This group is met once a month. We just met today, and every time we are returning to the work of examining the program of studies and deciding how it can be improved. Stephanie, you can move to the next slide. And this is the last slide. This shows kind of the result of that work. So it's really led to the proposal and the subsequent acceptance that this group of the graduation requirements shift that we're very excited about, but also that requires a lot of changes and new offerings of our students. So I give a lot of credit to our teachers who, in seeing that these changes were coming forward, had to start to rethink courses or invent courses that didn't previously exist, and to do that in a way that responded to students' interests. So you may recall that in the changes, we are adding 1 year of math, going from 3 years of required math to 4, a half a year of required fine and performing arts to a full year. We're adding world languages as a 2-year requirement, and we changed the applied arts requirement to reduce out exploring computer science or digital literacy as a requirement. And the result of that is that it created more space for students to take courses that they might otherwise not have room to take. The PSSWG, it does not roll off the tongue. I will acknowledge that. That group reviewed the different course proposals and agreed and approved the following 8 to go forward. And I can tell you, I'm pretty excited about what those look like. So you can see them there. We're adding 1 AP course. That's our first AP course in the business program. We anticipate that that'll run 1, maybe even 2 sections next year. It's hard to know. We're adding a course in the math department called Data and Decision Making. That's really based on a lot of quantitative reasoning and real world impacts of mathematical understanding and how you make decisions using data in your real life. It's a very cool course. The others you'll see there, I won't read them off to you, but I will highlight the one at the bottom, working with children. That sounds an awful lot like our early childhood education course. It's because it's being taught by the teacher who teaches that. And it's a course that really focuses not just on early childhood education, but how students may want to consider careers in early childhood education that are not teaching. So there are lots of careers, and there's a lot of career potential in the field of working with children that are not teaching. So those are, anything from a child photographer, which we've had coming in, to child psychologists, to you name it, there's lots of them. So that's a course we're very excited about. So that group continues its hard work, and we are starting to enroll students in the next 2 weeks, and we will see, really the data will be in on which courses are going to fill up really quickly, what the knock-on effects of this change will be on some of the existing courses. So in the next month to 6 weeks, we're going to get a lot of answers to questions we've had for about 8 or 10 months about how this change will unfold. Sorry, that was a lot of talking very quickly, but it was a lot of dense information. So I'll stop for questions.
Thank you. I have a question about the partnership, the substance abuse.
Sure.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but right, the most recent surveys have indicated, right, an increase in substance use among girls. Was that correct?
It's a little bit more nuanced than that. My recollection is that all of our substance use rates have gone down, but they're going down most quickest with boys, and the girls have surpassed the boys in their rates. So I think if you were to compare our female substance use in the last Metro West Health Survey to, let's say, 6 years ago or 8 years ago or 10 years ago, they're lower, but they are higher than our current boys, and that's a trend that we worry about. And it also seems to correlate with ever increasing rates of risky behaviors related to mental health amongst our girls. So it's a very long answer to say our girls are the ones we're most worried about, and our upper class girls are the absolute ones we are most worried about.
And thank you. That's helpful. So my question then follows is, like, with this partnership, is that those concerns are being addressed? Obviously, like, these are things that we want to address in all students, not just one sample within our student body, but Are those taking a closer look at how to address that particular issue is something that's integrated into that work?
So I'm about to fall out of my chair because you're asking me a question I'm excited, super excited to answer because Dr. Reinhorn knows that we have an upcoming PD session, full day PD session across the district. And I'm leading with the group at Encompass and several others a data analysis on our female students, our upper class female students, and why they're struggling and what we can do about it. And so that group will include myself, the whole admin team, our adjustment counselors, and we actually have two members from Boston University's public health School of Public Health to help us just interpret our data and make some tangible conclusions about how we can make change happen. So that's going to happen on March 23rd because we kind of are hitting our head against the wall about how can we make change on what we know the data is unequivocal about. And so that is, we're excited to see what that session delivers.
Great. Thank you very much. And I think if there's ways to also bring the community or parents into that, because I actually think it's a pretty surprise that many parents would find that a surprising finding. And so they may not be paying attention as much, just because stereotypically it's people tend not to think about that as an issue in girls. They'll think about more internalizing disorders, but
yeah, and I think you're very astute in picking up on that. And one of the things we are also at the bottom of that slide is that ninth grade programming. One of the things we're just like really toying with is at freshman orientation with our parent presentations is to maybe offer sessions for people who want to hear about how do I support my child. We would certainly not say we have a boys session and a girls session, but we might want to make it address the needs that often impact our upper class females and learn more about it here and have somebody help us talk it through. So we're really thinking of this as a grade 8 through 12 issue. It doesn't start in grade 11 or 12 where our data seems to be most, our highest risk data seems to show itself. So I'm looking at that as a good place to start educating parents. And I think on the 23rd of March, we're hoping to maybe identify really targeting like what are one or two things we can actually do because it can feel a little bit disempowering to know this issue exists and we just have not found the secret sauce to improve it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Nope, seeing none. Thank you very much. Next up is enrollments.
All right, so in your packet is the enrollment report as of January 15th. There are really no changes since last month. And I'll turn it over to Becky for the next two financial reports.
Okay, so with the FY26 budget, the committee will note that there is one new function code that is currently over budget, and that is the maintenance of buildings line item. We have identified an area where we can move those funds from, and the reason for the overage is due to the cold snap. I guess the cold winter, we could say. We have had some repairs that have been needed to some of our rooftop units. And so it's for that reason that that line item is over budget. In terms of the overall operational budget, the report that's in the packet is as of January 31st. And you can see that there is a budget balance of just under $400,000 or 1.34% of the operational budget. That is a decrease of about $330,000 from last month's meeting. And really the reason for that decrease is when we had generated the December reports, it was actually in the midst of generating our payroll. And so the financial coordinator had taken down a number of her encumbrances and was working on her payroll. So some of the line items for our substitute accounts as well as our Medicare were not accounted for in the December report. So that is really what was driving the change from December December to January. But at this point in time, we are watching this budget. We have actually, I think I mentioned this at the last month's meeting, we have frozen the operational budget, and we are just making sure that we are setting up the district for FY27 as well. And so I welcome any questions about either of those items.
Anyone have any questions? No. Okay, so I will, it's a vote on both the budget line items and the general fund, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year budget line item transfers in your packet. And the fiscal year, the fiscal year 26 budget monthly general fund expenditure report as of January 31st, 2026 until audited.
So moved. Go ahead.
So
I'll second.
Okay. And that is a roll call. Oh, any discussion? That's a roll call vote. Joan?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so those pass unanimously.
Okay, and also included in the packet is the statement of revenue report, and that also is as of January 31st, 2026. Aside from the normal income that we do see month to month, this month marked the first time that we received our regional transportation installment from the state, and you can see that we did receive $449,689, so about half of what we had anticipated receiving. And then the other item that is not norm that we receive would be our Medicaid reimbursement. We did receive about $6,100 for that. And again, those are for services that are provided during the school day by providers that are eligible to submit for Medicaid reimbursement. So we continue to be at about the 50% mark, and we are trending just where we would anticipate we would be for our revenue receipts. And we would need a vote for this as well, Jen.
Are there any questions or discussion? So I will entertain a motion to approve the statement of revenue as of January 31st, 26.
So moved.
Okay. Moved by Chris.
Second.
Seconded by Joan. Roll call, Joan.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that passes unanimously. Next is the approved capital plan. Greg, you're muted.
So also are the approved budget priorities in the budget calendar. And before I turn it over to Becky to give the FY27 recommended budget presentation, I'll just note that their budget calendar reflects many, many meetings and hard work of the leadership team at the high school, the central office district team, to try to really move forward a fiscally responsible budget. I think this budget season has been extraordinarily challenging. And if you look at our overall increases line item by line item, there are many that are zero, and a few line items which are driving the increase. I think Sean and the team have done an excellent job of really trying to protect student services and protect programming, and just want to thank them for their efforts. And I'll turn it over to Becky for the presentation.
Okay, so yes, tonight we are presenting the FY27 recommended budget for the Northborough Southborough Regional School District. This budget really is a level services budget. You can see that the recommended budget is coming in at a 5.81% increase over FY26. As we have been mentioning throughout the budget process, there really are 5 line items that are driving this budget, or rather 5 areas that are driving the budget. And those are special education transportation, special education out of district tuition, special education collaborative tuition, health insurance, and then also our salaries. And also as a reminder to the committee that a 1% increase on the FY26 budget would be represented of $296,902, so just under $300,000. When we began the budget process back in October, you can see that the initial requests that came in from the departments and also from the leadership team at the high school represented a 12.79% increase. As Greg mentioned, we have had numerous meetings. We have been working collaboratively. And at this point in time, the recommended budget that we are presenting tonight is a 5.81% increase, which is a $2,071,974 increase over FY26, or a $31,416,287 budget. So in order to get down to that 5.81% increase, there have been a number of areas that we have made reductions. As we've previously communicated, the initial reduction was in utilizing our FY26 circuit breaker funds of $724,000. And then the work that we have done collaboratively resulted in budget reductions of about $1.3 million. Included in those reductions are a reduction of positions. We are looking at approximately 5.5 FTEs. The majority of those reductions are due to attrition. And then we are also looking at line item reductions. And then one other item to note is that we are anticipating utilizing $100,000 of our FY27 circuit breaker, in addition to the FY26 circuit breaker funds that we have already identified. And so the combination of all of these areas resulted in overall reductions of just over $2 million from those initial budget requests that came in October. I also want to point out that there are 4 line items that are really driving this budget. I've already mentioned those previously, but those are the special education, out of district tuitions, collaboratives, and transportation, as well as our health insurance costs. So those 4 line items represent just over $1 million of the overall budget increase, which is 59.34% of the FY27 recommended budget increase. We are continuing to work with our health insurance consultant on our health insurance. However, we feel the number that is in this budget is reflective of where we are in that process as of today. We've also talked that if we needed to get to a 3% budget from where we stand right now, that would result in additional reductions totaling $835,387. And most likely those reductions would need to come in further staffing reductions. Also, for the committee, we wanted to provide an overview of our circuit breaker program and where we have been over the previous 6 fiscal years. You can see that there is fluctuation from year to year, and that's obviously dependent on the cohort of students that we are submitting circuit breaker claims for. But overall, our 6-year average has been about $730,000, which is about where we are anticipating to be for the next fiscal year. And also, I think it's very evident that the past couple of years, based on the health insurance increases that we've been seeing, that really is driving our budgets. So this year, this is an old slide. I guess this was not updated. So it is actually a 5.81% for this year, but for FY26, it was a 6.2% increase, and FY25, it was a 4.82%. And that is because we are seeing those health insurance costs that are increasing, as well as some of our special education costs. As you recall, a couple of years ago, and that was in FY25, we did see that 14% increase on our special education tuition. So, but overall, over the past 7 years, on average, we have been at about a 3.79% increase in terms of our budgets. Also, as part of this budget process, we have identified some capital assessments that we are going to be including in the assessments to the two towns. These 6 projects are based off of the FY27 capital plan, and they total $477,000. Those will be broken down based on the prior 4 years enrollment as of October 1, and Northborough would be responsible for 61.26% and Southborough 38.74% of those costs. We also include in our assessment any debt that the district has incurred. FY27 actually marks the last year that the renovation addition at Algonquin will be assessed to the two communities, as we will be concluding that bond. However, in FY27, we will also be rolling our bond anticipation notes for the athletic complex into a permanent financing. And so at this point in time, we are anticipating debt payments of about just under $1.6 million for FY27, which again would be allocated to the two towns based on that 4-year average of enrollments as of October 1st. So in terms of the overall assessments to the two towns, we are presenting 2 options to the committee tonight. This first option would be, I went too fast, would be without the application of any excess and deficiency funds. So you can see that for the non-exempt, which would be the operational budget for Northborough, that would represent an 8.68% increase over FY26. And for Southborough, it would be a 7.59% increase. Overall, if we take the operational and then the debt and the capital assessment, Northborough would have a 10.28% increase and Southborough would have a 9.18% increase. If the committee were to decide to utilize $675,000 of excess and deficiency, like we have done previously, Northborough's assessment would then change to a 5.91% increase, or overall 7.68%, and Southborough's would be a 4.83% increase, and their overall assessment would be a 6.58% increase. So just to summarize, our recommended budget proposal tonight is a $416,287 budget, which represents a 5.81% increase over FY26. In terms of next steps, we are hoping for a positive vote for the recommended budget tonight. Next week, we do have a meeting with the Northborough Appropriations Committee and then we also have our public hearing, which would be held at next month's school committee meeting. Finally, in April, we would have the 2 town meetings. And I welcome any questions or comments that you would have on the operational budget.
Sean.
Question about the special ed transportation. Um, I just want to make sure the collaboratives that you mentioned that'll be increasing. That's like special ed tuition, not money to the collaborative for transportation, right?
Correct. Yep. The transportation
Yeah.
would be separate.
Um, are we gonna continue with the vendor we have
We are
for next year?
actually planning to go out and obtain new quotes for for our special education transportation for next year.
Okay. I just know a lot of, I mean, there was that report from the state that said like there's not a lot of transparency and a lot of things are challenging, and I know a lot of districts are looking at different vendors. So I just, you know, obviously you guys are on top of that then.
Yeah. Our hope is that if we are able to kind of put quotes out for the different segments, we obviously have the in-district transportation, we have the transportation at the out-of-district schools, and then we also have McKinney-Vento transportation. If we could do those separately, maybe we could attract some different vendors, maybe some smaller vendors that may be more willing to work with us on pricing.
And so are we paying Assabet to coordinate all that, or do we think we might be more effective to bring that in-house and like use a portion of that money to have our own coordinator?
We are planning to bring that in-house.
Great, good. That's it for now. I have questions later about E&D, but I'll let somebody else go.
Joan.
Thank you. Becky, and maybe Becky and Greg, as the Northborough member serving on the region, I know what the town of Northborough has been asking. They've been asking for budgets like 2.999. Can you enlighten me about what you're hearing from definitely from the Southborough boards, because I'm not aware of that. What are you asked? What is the climate that you're hearing from them? And sharing anything in their communication with you, and also from the Northborough financial boards from both towns.
Sure. So I can speak to Southborough and then I'll transition to Northborough. I think the select board, we've met with the select board in Southborough in financial planning, presented our budgets. I think they also asked us to bring in a 3% budget. But in our presentation, we articulated why that was not possible without really devastating programs that students experience. At this point in time, I think that the select board is getting ready to vote on approving the school budget, and we think that will take place shortly, probably in the next week or so. So we think in Southborough we're in a good place with the pre-K through 8 budget, and also they were waiting for this evening's vote to get a better understanding of the assessment when it comes to the high school budget, 9 through 12. They really are more concerned with the assessment to the member community. So Southborough was hoping that it was less than 6% at the time. So it's coming in at 4.79, I believe, Becky. And then Northborough also, it's been a challenging budget season. Both communities are trying to avoid an override. I think the pre-K through 8 budget has been challenging. Similar budget drivers to the region. And in terms of the regional budget, they were hoping for an assessment less than 6%, closer to 5 or 4%. So we will share that information this evening. I think both communities are concerned with the current state of the overall town budgets and making sure that we avoid overrides.
Okay, so Becky, I may need some help because I was trying to take down these numbers. So Greg, you're saying that Northborough wanted us to bring in the assessment less than 6%, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were hoping for a 3% aggregate budget at the regional level. And again, we don't really control assessments. We can impact assessments through E&D. But again, fiscally responsible and educationally sound budget that we presented this evening is as low as we feel comfortable going without impacting student programming. And then the assessments, again, they were hoping for assessments in the 3% range, but again, we don't control those. Those are enrollment driven. And again, the school committee can only impact assessments using excess and deficiency, which I think in the past several years you have done.
Okay, so if we do take from E&D, if we do take the 657,000, correct, out of E&D, then we would bring our assessment to Northborough. Is it correct at 5.91?
It would be 5.91, yes, for the operational budget, yes.
Okay, so that would bring us under the number that Northborough wanted, lower than 6. And if Southborough wanted us to bring it in,
And they're at a 4.83 if we utilize the 675 in END.
so can I assume we would be in a good place if we do take that E&D because we're under the 6% that each town is asking for us in our assessment?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, both communities asked for a 3% assessment increase. But I think the numbers they were carrying in their rev caps for assessments were in about 8%. That was our initial estimates. So they are lower than what they were carrying as placeholders in their rev cap numbers for each community.
If we go below, my last question, if we go below the 6%, is that in our assessment? Would we still be in danger of overrides in the towns?
I think the town is still, the town of Northborough is still looking at the comprehensive budget in totality. I think there's still risk. And I think, we have an upcoming meeting with appropriations in Northborough, more meetings with the town administrator and the select board to really see where we're at in terms of the Northborough town budget. In Southborough, I think, again, I think they are close to avoiding an override. We do need to follow up with the town administrator and the select board to see exactly where Southborough is.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Are there other questions? I just want to make a quick comment that, I've been now on school committee for 6+ years, and it's definitely the last several years have been increasingly challenging. And just for the community to know, we've talked about, I think Greg and Becky have done a really nice job of presenting the issues around the drivers. But these, for the community to know is that we can't really impact that. We're legally obligated to fulfill certain requirements, which brings us above that threshold every time. So it becomes challenging. We all as committee members have talked about programs or initiatives that we'd like to support and strengthen. We just have not been able to do that because of these pretty significant drivers. So I just wanted to highlight that. Sean, you had another question.
Sorry, I might have missed it for a second. Was there, Becky, did you say how much is in the E&D total right now?
I can get that for you.
$1,000,000.
It's on the statement of revenue.
$698. So we are within the school committee policy.
1,600,000, and this is okay.
Yeah.
And we do.
So using more, I mean, the question always is about using more, and it really depletes. It brings that down, and then affects things like bond ratings and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we've been running scenarios too, and that's another reason why we've frozen the FY20, the current budget, is if, we are able to return money to E&D, then that will help us in terms of replenishing, at least some of what we're using in the E&D. And the numbers that we are running projections on, we are still remaining within the school committee recommended boundaries of the 3.25 to the 3.75.
Yeah, and maybe this is more just in case anyone is watching this or whatever. Like, explain why we don't just use the E&D fully every year.
Well, the E&D, I mean, it's really something where we have the mechanism to utilize those funds if some sort of an emergency were to come up. The school committee could then tap into that money in order to make up that shortfall. So I think it's fiscally prudent, and also there is the school committee policy that does require us to maintain that level of funding within the E&D balance.
And it also affects our bond rating.
It does. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Jen,
Go ahead.
haven't been on the operational subcommittee. I just wanted to chime in and, reiterate what I said there. I think Becky and Greg and the whole team have done a great job in bringing this in where it is, considering where we started and considering, all the things that are out of our control. And, to me, a lot of these, as we discussed with our legislators the last time, I think, right? I think a lot of these are systemic problems that are at the state level or healthcare. I don't know what level that's at, but it's just, things like even Proposition 2.5, which I think has outlived its usefulness and needs to be looked at. The whole the contributions that each town is being asked to make, the whole formula needs to be looked at. And so, Jenna, like to your point, to anybody watching this, I mean, to me, those are the things we need to get riled up about. It's not the town of Southborough or Northborough that's, spending money willy-nilly and it's all gotten out of hand. It's really all coming from the state level and the federal level. So that's my little rant. So
Any other comments? Okay, so I might need some help with the wording of this. So we need a vote on the recommended budget. And then, so we'll start there, I guess. So I will entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 27 recommended budget for an increase of 5.81%, equaling 2,071,974 for a total of 31,416,287.
so moved.
Moved by Paul.
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Roll call, Paul,
Yes.
Joan,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
and a yes from me, so that passes unanimously.
And then we should also have a vote for the E&D.
Correct. So that's where I'm going to need help with the wording of that motion, if someone would like to make a motion. Is there any discussion on that, first of all? I was just assuming that everyone was on the same page, but any comments or discussion? Okay. Yes, Joan.
I'll try to make a motion, but I'll accept any help. I move that we withdraw $657,000 from our E&D and apply it to the FY27 budget.
Sorry, Joan, it's 675,000. Not sure.
600 and what?
75,000.
Okay. Okay, so I'm glad it is in second. I would like to amend my motion. I move that we take from our E&D account 675,000 and apply it to the FY27 operational budget.
I'll second that.
And there was no discussion, so roll call vote. Joan?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so that passes unanimously.
And Greg, do you think we should vote on the capital assessment as well, the 477?
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't hurt.
What's the amount? Sorry, what was the amount?
477,000.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the capital assessment of 477,000.
So moved.
Moved by Paul.
Second.
Second by Chris. Any discussion? So roll call vote, Joan,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so that passes unanimously. Great, thank you. So now on to old business, the 2026-2027 school calendar discussion and vote. So I will pass that over to Greg in a second. The committee this is an ongoing discussion. It seemed like, especially in the last several meetings, there's been a lot of feedback from teachers, community members, and also Northborough and Southborough have. So we've already previously voted on an option, but Northborough and Southborough have voted on different options. So we'd like to bring that up for a discussion and a revote.
Sure, so I can provide some context. So on December 3rd, the regional school committee did approve a 26-27 calendar, as well as Southborough. Northborough at that time had a 3-3 split vote, or a 2-2 split vote, and they didn't have a quorum to break the tie. So that was discussed at their January meeting. And basically at the January meeting, the Northborough School Committee tasked me of trying to develop a calendar that does not have professional development days on religious observance days. So that required me going back to the region association. Again, there was a clause in their contract that they cannot start earlier than the first Monday before Labor Day. And because there are 5 weeks in August, and the Labor Day is on, I believe, this Monday, the second Monday, or the first Monday in September, which is a week later than it typically is. So I presented the Regional ARDA Association with a new calendar. It has educators starting on August 27th, which is a Thursday, August 28th, which is a Friday, and then having a third PD day on August 31st on Monday. It would have September 1st, the first day of school for students. It removes PD days previously scheduled on Yom Kippur and Eid, and it adds a PD day on Orthodox Good Friday. The end result is that it's the same last day for students, which is June 17th. I did do a historical look back to see end start dates and end dates. We have averaged a 2.45 snow days over the past 10 years. The latest we've gotten out, it was in 2017 and 2018, which is June 25th, which is the last day for the school year due to the snow days. Again, it's varied from June 25th to June 22nd as the last day. And I would say in 23-24 was June 13th. It was probably the earliest date we've gotten out from school in that time period. I would say that it doesn't change. It doesn't really change the student calendar, except it has students starting a day earlier. It gives them a 4-day week back. It doesn't change vacations. Doesn't change the end of the school year, and I think it's goodwill for educators. The Northborough Association and Southborough Association said that they prefer option 5 because it gives them 3 PD days up front in the calendar to prepare and get ready for the academic year. So they were in favor of it for that reason. And then Algonquin also said that they would approve the calendar, and understand that it's the will of the committee to take it up and reconsider and take a different vote. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Joan.
So that we could have some discussion, I'd like to make a motion and then we could have the discussion. And since I voted in the affirmative at the December 3rd combined meeting for the calendar for the school year 2026, 2027, I would like to make the following motion to reconsider that vote from December the 3rd, 2025, and move to vote for calendar option 5.
Second?
So discussion, Sean, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, just to clarify, has Southborough and Northborough voted to accept this?
So at the last meeting, Northborough took a straw poll. They did not want to vote the calendar because they wanted to respect the region and Southborough's earlier decision. At the last meeting, Southborough voted to approve calendar 5, and then Northborough indicated that they would approve calendar 5 at their March meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion, thoughts about motion? Kathleen.
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, so I can't really see any documents. Can you just go over again which days, which religious holidays, and when they fall, calendar 5 includes?
Sure, hang on one second. Too many documents open.
You want me to share it on the screen, Greg?
Yeah, that'd be helpful. If you can just tell me the page actually in the packet, that'd be easier.
Page 85. I can share if you want.
No, I'll just give me 1 second.
Okay.
It's the budget book, the FY27 budget book, like that has too many pages.
Oh, I'm looking, sorry, 85 is in the agenda. I was looking in the linked agenda.
Yep, that's right. Okay, so let's see here. 9/21, September 21st, which is a Monday, is Yom Kippur. And then we have let's see.
March 10th.
Yeah, thank you. So March 10th is Eid, and 3/26 is which is on a
Good Friday.
Sorry. And Good Friday. And I believe that is it.
Okay, thank you.
Joan, you have your hand, is that up still? Do you have another question or is that left over?
Thank you very much. No, I meant to lower it. Thank you.
Chris.
Thanks, Jen. I think, I did not vote in favor of the option that that was ultimately adopted back in December because I'm not in favor of calendars that have any holidays religious holidays on it that are not just whatever I want a calendar that just has state and federal holidays on it is really what I want to see. However, I do recognize that if we were to not adopt this calendar and it was adopted by the other committees, that it would be an absolute disaster for the district to actually implement multiple calendars across the 3 school districts. So that being said, although I am not in favor of a calendar that has religious holidays in it, for the sake of consistency, I would be inclined to vote for this calendar if it's going to be adopted by the other committees.
Paul.
I did vote for the previous iteration of this calendar, but I like this one better because I thought some of the teachers made good points about having professional development days on religious holidays didn't sit well with them. So I think this is an improvement, and I'm for it. Thank you.
Kathleen.
So I am in the same boat that Chris is in that I do not think that we should be in the business of deciding whose holidays are more worthy than others in order to give kids days off. But I also recognize that there's a contingency of our constituents that are very much against this. And so I realize it's going to pass, and that's fine, but I'm going to vote against it, just at least to represent all the parents in the district who are not in favor of this.
Yeah, I will be voting in favor of this. I think logistically it would be a nightmare and I am not ready to open. I mean, I think we talked about last time really giving a shot to get the feedback and to analyze the calendars with the holidays included. I do want to just acknowledge the community that we've actually gotten quite a lot of community feedback for both sides of the argument in terms of including or not including holidays, and along with arguments about inclusivity. I think that one of our community members today, Brent, mentioned that too, quite a lot of emails. So I think it will be good to evaluate and get feedback from parents, but I think just from a logistic standpoint, I'm going to be also supporting this calendar. Any other? Joan?
The only comment I have, I made the motion, so I am in option 5, but I would just like to reach out to Greg and the administration that I think we need to really begin another study. I hate to say it, early in the year and really listen to our educators and what they would like and take into a consideration to see how we can do it. I know I get a lot of comments that, schools, especially after what happened in the Northeast right now, you out for a week and you're out for 2 more days. And educators are looking for consistency in the number of days that they are in school with the kids, like 4 days, 5 days. There seems to be so many interruptions. And it's a hard task. And I think a lot of districts are going through it. I have seen a Northeast calendar where there are no religious holidays, and that's one that I went through. But when you see a calendar like that has no religious holidays, it just doesn't seem correct. But I think that we have to really study this next year, and hopefully we could get back to where we used to do 3-year calendars at one time, 3-year calendars. And I don't know if we can get to that point again, but I think it's a very sensitive subject. I thank Jennifer for sending all the parent emails and the concerns they had in listening to our constituents on both sides, both towns, and both sides of this issue. So, Greg, just for consideration, maybe we need to have a subcommittee looking into this with, and I know you've listened to the teachers and the educators and we listened to the public, but maybe we need to have more an in-depth look at this and try to I'd love to get a 3-year calendar since 3 years, since we do this almost every year. So that's my input. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So we have a motion on the table and a second. So I will do roll call here. And just as a reminder, the motion is to approve option 5. Joan,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Chris,
Abstain.
Kathleen,
No.
and I am a yes. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses, 1 abstention, and 1 no. Thank you. So that passes. Sorry, I'm having cat problems here. So next on the agenda is policy development and distribution. We have second reading of new competency determination policy J-400.
Again, so Sean this fall worked on the competency determination policy. Actually, he successfully submitted it to the state at the end of December. No changes have been made to the policies since the first reading on December 3rd. And it's for a second reading and a vote this evening.
Are there any comments, discussion?
No. How about I move to accept competency determination policy J400?
I will second that. So roll call, Joan,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Oh, we are missing, did we lose Chris? I'm a yes, so we do not have quorum at this time. Am I correct? Oh, wait. Great. Chris, we are doing a roll call to approve the new competency determination policy J400. And that's a yes from Chris and a yes from me, so that passes unanimously. The next on the list is the recommendation to rescind class standing policy J-190.
Sure. So this is a outdated policy. It talks about the number of credits to be a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, and then to graduate. I think with the new graduation requirements, this no longer is in effect. And I believe it is covered in the graduation requirements in the student handbook.
Any discussion? Yes, Chris.
My only question, I guess, would be, are we using any kind of, and maybe I missed it, but are we using any particular criteria to establish whether somebody is a member of the freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior classes? Or is it just, the student enters as a freshman, we say they've gone, 4 years or whatever, and then they are classified as seniors?
I can address that, Greg, if it's okay.
Sure.
I don't think in any real practical terms there's any advantage to classifying a student as a freshman by the number of credits they have or the number sophomore by how many credits they have. We do know that students associate their identity with their same age peers, and so we try to keep them there. It does not mean a student would just graduate without meeting the credit requirements, of course. But for example, a student who's a little bit behind on credits but is of the age of a junior age student would potentially be a candidate to go to the prom. We wouldn't prevent them from doing that. So I think all the benefits of having class designations are mostly social, and I think it's probably most beneficial for a student to stay with their same age class peers, but they still need to pass the classes they need to pass. So a student, for example, who's in freshman year and does not pass freshman English has to take freshman English again. Whether or not they consider themselves a sophomore or not is kind of immaterial.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion to rescind policy class standing J-190.
Second.
Second.
So Joan, I heard you first, so Joan second. A roll call, Chris,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
and Joan.
Yes.
I'm a yes, so that passes unanimously. Thank you. Next up is public comment. So is there anyone who'd like to say anything at this time? We have one member in the audience. Nope. Seeing no hands raised. Next up is the distribution of personnel report. You're muted, Greg.
So it's one of those rare personnel reports where there are no items listed. So it's been a very quiet month.
Okay, next up, a communications distribution of fiscal year 27 budget book.
So it contains all and any questions that you have most likely can be found in the budget book. And just want to thank Cheryl Lepre and the central office team for organizing that, and Becky and the finance team for preparing it. It's a lot of work, but it's also a very helpful document for us as we navigate the next month or two, getting these budgets approved.
Thank you. So approval of bills and payrolls, that's done electronically. And last up, agenda items for next month. There, you can see the list presented on your agenda. Are there any additional items that people would like to have? And as always, you can email. Yes, Joan.
The only one I like, since we took the vote on our budget, if there is any other communication from Southborough or Northborough financial boards, or the administration, the town managers, I know Greg will do it, but just as a reminder to update us so that we understand how we're going forward as we get into the town meetings.
We'd be happy to do that.
Thanks.
Thank you. For any further items, feel free to send that to me as an email. So at this point, we have gone through the agenda, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It is 9:03.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, and roll call, Joan,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. That's adjourned at 9:03.
Want to give the cat a vote?
I just got home, so she hasn't left my side since I've come home.
The cat behaved very well.
Yeah.
Great. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.